Hey guys, I'm SKV and you're watching SKVplaysON and welcome to another video of Warframe. This video is for the Volt build, which is a hit and run build, which I'll be sharing in a bit. But first, before I show you the build, I should let you know that I have kind of made all the timestamps necessary for each and everything that I'm going to be recording in this particular video and showcasing to you guys. So if you need to check on a particular thing you wanted to know, or the mods that I've used for the Warframe or Sentinels or Hounds or whatever it is, just check the description. It'll have the timestamps, or you can just check the YouTube bar in the video. It'll have the intervals as well, so you can kind of go directly to that. Anyways, let me get straight to the point. This is a hit and run build where I'm using Okina melee, which has the Incarnon form. The Incarnon forms are important for this particular build because you will be using the fast moving ability of Volt, and also you'll be using the melee to hit each and every enemy in your way and killing them. So it's a simple mechanic that you'll be following or gameplay that you'll be doing, but the build is going to be depending on a lot of synergies between your primary, secondary, your Warframe, your companion, and also whatever helmet that you'll be using. So currently I've been using this for other Warframes also, but I'll be making a separate video for that. This video is mainly for the Volt hit and run build. First I'll show you the Volt hit and run build with the Hound, and before I show you the build, I'll just show you a little bit of gameplay so that you'll know what I'm talking about. Currently I'm gonna go do a survival mission against Scaldra. It's a steel path run. Just a 1 minute or 2 minute run just to show you what I'm capable of with this particular build with Volt and all the synergies that are happening with this. Make sure to keep an eye on the minimap also, because you will be seeing a whole lot of enemies being taken out on the minimap mostly. Just keep an eye on the minimap. All the red markers that you'll be seeing, they will be disappearing very quickly. And also you should know that this build you will be mainly targeting your enemies to build up your combo first. Try to build up your combo as quickly as possible. I'm trying to reach 6x combo right now. Once I can reach the 6x, it should be good. And you can see I'm holding my shield and running around. The shield also plays a very important role in this particular hit and run build because it kind of protects you from most of the oncoming damage. Like whatever projectiles, whatever bullets. There we go, 6x. I just have to do a heavy hit. Incarnon form is active. And now we start looking at the mini-map and clearing all the red markers, which are the enemies, of course.
Cha-ching! 10 points.
You can already see it's getting close to 3 minutes of this particular run. And I'll stop at 3 minutes and show you how many kills I got just for spending 3 minutes of this run.
Especially you guys. Having another health scrubber for regurgitation. Disgusting.
It's 3 minutes now, and look at the amount of kills I got. 300 kills, 3 minutes. It's like each minute I'm getting 100 kills done. And also you should know this particular build, because it kinda helps you kill enemies faster, whether it's Steel Path or a normal mission, it kinda also helps the mission to kinda go crazy and spawn more enemies in front of you, because you're finishing off enemies and moving forward. The more newer areas of a map you reach, you'll get more spawns of enemies, which means enemies keep spawning way more faster. Look at that. That's an acolyte. Acolyte down. Keep moving. That's why I call it a hit and run. You just hit, run. It's nothing related to a accident or anything. It is in the game. It is Volt that does a hit and keeps running. So basically that's the gist of this build. And you can see again ready for my Incarnon already. This is just a 5-minute gameplay that I'm showcasing first, and then I'll be showing you the build itself. There we go. I have my extraction point ready, and I'm just gonna head towards it.
Don't worry, I'll share. You've done enough. Marking extraction. I mean, you could do more, a lot more. You've really just done the minimum at this point. Kinda.
As you conquer the foe, so you conquer yourself.
A 5-minute run, and I was able to get a decent amount of resources as well. And if you can see, I got 534 kills within 5 minutes. So basically 100 kills per minute. So this is the hit and run build. Now directly showing you what this build was all about. Okay, now coming straight to the mod setup for this build. As you can see, I do have some archon shards already placed on volts, but this is not really important. This particular build works exactly the same way you saw in the gameplay, even without these shards. These shards are mainly for my satisfaction of numbers and extra damage that I wanted, so I added these. You don't really need them because they work without the shards also. So now coming straight to the point, this particular setup has the Hound as your companion. There is another setup which I use currently, which uses a Sentinel instead of the Hound. But I would suggest the Hound is much more better for more crowd control, which I'll showcase in a bit. We are in the Simulacrum anyway, so I'll showcase it in a bit. But first, let me show the mods on the Warframe. For the Warframe, I'm kind of going with Steel Charge, extra melee damage output. Then Arcane Fury, extra melee damage output. Then Arcane Ice Storm, I'll get to that in a bit. I'm only running one augment mod because all I need to do is run fast, and because I'm using Volt Speed, Shocking Speed helps me with providing a electric barrier around Volt when he's running full fast, So this particular electric barrier does 300 electric damage to any enemy that comes within the radius of this barrier. And every time I get into the attack radius of the enemy, I do 300 damage of electricity. And then when I leave that radius also, it does another 300 damage. So going in and out of that radius does 300 damage and 300 damage. So it's a 600 damage total. So getting close to enemies whenever you do the melee hits is always a given. Now coming to the next one, it's the fast deflection. As you can see, I don't have too much shields or too much health, and I will definitely depend on Volt carrying the third ability shield in the hand while running fast, because it really helps block a lot of oncoming damage towards Volt. So you want to have fast deflection for your own Warframe shields to regenerate faster. It doesn't regenerate the shield that you hold or anything, but it kind of helps with protecting you. So this shield also helps, and this particular Warframe shield regeneration mod also helps for your Warframe to regenerate faster your shields. Now coming to the strength mods, I'm using Blind Rage and Precision Intensify to increase my strength above 200%. Now here, if you can see, the Precision Intensify says that it gives you 90% ability strength for using your fourth ability. That's why I made sure I used the Kullervo Helminth ability, the Wrathful Advance, on the fourth ability of Volt. So I got rid of the Discharge ability which was there. Since I'm not going to be stationary and using a high range type of a build, since I do have negative range, I don't have to worry about discharge because it's not gonna really work that well without range. So this kind of helps me increase the melee crit chance, which really does a lot more damage with my melee whenever I do the hits. Now coming to the duration mods, I'm using Narrow-Minded and Primed Continuity to increase the duration. Obviously it increases my speed duration to 30 seconds and my Kullervo's Wrathful Advance to 25 seconds. And because I have negative efficiency, I don't have to worry about spamming the ability because it's going to stay there for a good chunk of seconds. Now to also make sure I don't get into trouble because of my negative efficiency, I do have a Equilibrium mod and Primed Flow. Primed Flow has two uses for me, for my build. One is because Primed Flow mod will increase my energy capacity beyond 500, which means my purple shards are going to get activated and give me more crit damage on my melee weapon. Now other than that, because I have less efficiency, I need to have a lot more energy capacity, because when I use abilities, it uses up a lot of energy. As you can see, 38 energy is going to be spent for using the fourth ability once, and here also 38 energy. Here also it uses 77 on the shield itself, and luckily for me it's double the duration on the shields, so I don't mind the drain. But having a huge capacity of energy really helps you not worry about spamming the abilities too much, because you have a good amount of duration. Make sure you have duration above 200%. Now coming to your primary and secondary, you can have your favorite primary weapon, but for the secondary weapon I would definitely suggest keep it to the Grimoire itself, because this particular book is the only particular secondary weapon which has the utility mods called the tomes, and I'm using the Xata Invocation and Fast Canticle. Fast Canticle, as you can see, it does 40% shield recharge, which actually adds up to the 90% shield recharge rate on my Warframe using the Fast Deflection mod. So it kind of gives a little bit of an extra bonus for the recharge rate for the shields. It really helps me stay safe when I'm running around. Now the Xata Invocation is for your alternate fire on your book or the Grimoire to help you create more of an energy regeneration using the alternate fire. But just using the alt fire once And then using the primary fire will help you build up the energy much more faster per hit. You can try it out yourself, but from what I've seen, you don't really have to worry about it. But it's always good to have a backup way of getting energy back quickly when you don't have energy restores or any energy orbs on the floor to pick up. Now, coming to the Okina build itself, I'm using the melee influence, of course, and I'm not using the Riven mod related build. This is the one without the Riven mod. So basically whatever gameplay you saw just now is without the Riven mod. It is this setup right here. I have the galvanized steel and galvanized elementalist. These are really good compared to the sacrificial mods. I would definitely suggest anyone to use these compared to the sacrificial mods. If you don't have the galvanized mods yet, then you can go for the sacrificial mods if you're already kind of used to the extra crit chance. This crit chance might look lesser than the sacrificial steel, but the longer you do the runs and more kills you get extra crit damage also because of this galvanized mod. That's why I'm using this instead of the sacrificial. Sacrificial only gives you crit chance, and it gives you more crit chance if you have both the sacrificial mods together, but it uses up a lot of capacity, which is not my thing anymore. So I'm going with galvanized mods. Now coming to the condition overload, as you've noticed, I have way too many status effects going on with the weapons, which will actually help when it comes to condition overload, because this will increase the damage output of my melee weapon depending on how many status effects are affecting the enemy. Now coming to the other mod, which is the range mod, of course, these are dual daggers. They don't have too much of a range, so definitely having primed reach works out a lot. And having prime reach also affects your Incarnon, which will spread the projectile daggers to go a bit more further than it would do when you had the default range. Now coming to the other mods, like I said, I am not using the Riven mod. That's the reason why I have 3 dual elemental status mods. First 2 in an order, which will give me blast damage, fire and ice, and then adding the electric one towards the end of the line will help me separate the electricity from the blast damage. We don't want to mix it up and make some other combo. We need electricity separate and blast separate. Blast mainly because, like I said, blast has a good amount of radius when it does the damage, and it has its own chain reaction which does a lot more better crowd control compared to any other elemental combo like toxin or even gas. That's why I chose blast damage with this build, and electricity is separate because we need that to trigger the melee influence, and melee influence arcane is really good for melee weapons right now. It literally does a chain reaction also like the blast damage, but way more better. As soon as you can see electric status on the enemies, this melee influence gets triggered and it literally destroys them with electricity and with whatever status types are there on your build for the melee weapon. Now coming to the last mod, Weeping Wounds. The melee influence and blast damage, they work way more faster and better with a way more higher damage as long as you've built up a good amount of multipliers. Whenever you build up melee combo multipliers, it's gonna help you a lot. Currently this setup is mostly for the status type, so I'm using the Weeping Wounds. I'm not using the Blood Rush here, plus I don't have extra space, otherwise I would have used it. But this is the best setup right now, so this is what I'm using. This is the melee Incarnon related evolutions that I've used. You don't have to worry about the third one, which is movement speed. That I used mainly because I was kind of using it for Volt, and it really helps when Volt gets another 30% boost of movement speed, obviously. But what you want to know is these two right here. the fourth evolution and then the second evolution, make sure you've selected the increase base damage plus 20, and on critical hit plus 6% status damage for 10 seconds stacks up to 5x. So this one on the second evolution, make sure you choose this one right here, not seeing red. You want to choose synergist surety. And on the fourth evolution, you want to choose the middle one, alchemy of war. Increases base status chance and also status duration. You want the status durations to be high because you will be proccing a lot of different statuses in this particular build setup, so that's why you want to have that. So this is the evolution related things you need to know, these two. Now coming to the synergy with your Hound, if you notice, the Hound's weapon has a whole lot of status types on it. It's not just one type of damage. There's electricity, puncher, slash, radiation, magnetic, and gas. The reason for so many elemental damage output is because of this one mod right here. The manifold bond lets the ability to cool down faster, so that whatever the Hound abilities are, they get cooled down quickly, and then it can activate the abilities again and again much more faster. The more amount of status procs on the enemy, the more faster they'll be proccing my electricity, which I need from synergized prospectus mod. This particular mod makes the Hound send out electric projectiles towards enemies, and within that 30-meter radius, if any other enemies are there, they'll also get the electric status procced on them. So they will be affected by this electric damage in a 30-meter radius. It's not a small radius, it really helps. I do have the shield recharge for my Volt from the shield recharger on the Hound and Guardian. Duplex bond for the extra clones. I'll show you what it's capable of. And then comes just one coolant leak mod, which is the sole mod which will help me trigger my arcane ice storm. That's the only mod which will help me trigger this arcane ice storm. And everything else is pretty much up to you. You can kind of use anything else other than reinforced bond if you want, like tenacious bond if you want. You can use for extra crit damage on your melee weapon. That also works. But I'm kind of using this because I wanted some overshields in case I use my primary or secondary weapon. It's like an overall build setup for my playstyle. But at the end of the day, this build setup is mainly for a hit and run where Volt is using speed and the melee weapons to do a lot of damage. Now let me show you what the Hounds are capable of without my Volt doing anything. This is the Steel Path Corrupted Heavy Gunners at a level 210. See what my Hound is capable of. See the different types of status effects on the enemy right there. Every enemy has more than 3 different unique status effects. And when I take them out, it will help the Hound cool down its ability faster, which means it's going to proc electricity again and again way more faster. I'm just going to build up a 6x combo. So close. And then activate my Incarnon form. The cool thing about this build is not only the Hound 1 mod freezes them, but also the projectiles from this Incarnon form also have a chance of instantly freezing the enemy, which will help me increase my arcane strength. Look at that, just one hit and everyone dead. You can see the projectiles around me, the daggers. I'm just going to go and stand here, see how the daggers hit. And they got frozen for a few seconds. And the more you kill, the more dagger projectiles you spawn. So on much more tougher enemies, what the dagger projectiles do is they literally freeze them. Even the Hound kind of freezes them with the coolant leak, and it really works well as a synergy. Look at that. 2 or 3 hits and then everyone just goes. You can check the left top corner with the minimap. Look at that, instantly gone. Anyways, that's the build setup with the Hound. Let me show you why I switched to Sentinel also. I use the Hound mostly for a huge crowd control. Whenever I'm going for like larger maps with a higher amount of enemy spawns. But for closed quarters or closed maps, like small rooms and all that, those type of maps, I use the Sentinel because I don't want the dogs to keep running around. The Sentinel is more than enough, and the Verglass is what is going to be doing a lot of cold damage along with the coolant leak on the Sentinel itself. I also have the Negate mod. Since this is a Worm Prime, it gets rid of all the status effects on me. If in case I'm affected by any status effects, it kind of gets rid of it. Every 5 seconds it refreshes. Look at this, instant freeze. The more enemies that get frozen, the more higher the strength I get and duration gets built up because of arcane ice storm. I have to build up on the combo again, 6x combo, so that my Incarnon gets activated. And then let me show you what it's capable of now. 1 to 3 hits, they're all gone. You can keep an eye on the minimap on the top left side also as to how fast they disappear. All I do is run straight through them and just do 1 or 2 hits. I don't even do the full combo of the melee. I don't do too many combos like that. You can do it, but it kind of slows you down in one spot. What I want to do is keep running and just doing 1 click at a time so that the blast and melee influence triggers. And because the range is pretty good on the melee build, the Incarnon floating daggers also kind of have a good range and they go hit the target quickly. And yeah, that's about it for the build. Hope you guys enjoyed that particular build setup and the synergy between the different things in the build. Please do let me know what you think about it. Do try it out. Do share the build with your clanmates or other friends if you have on Warframe. Do let me know what you think. And hope you guys have fun with the builds. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm not a Volt main, but I'm having a lot of fun with this build setup. And I would definitely suggest going for the Hound setup rather than the Sentinel. Anyways, that's about it. Thank you again. I'll see you guys on the next video where I'll show you this same setup, but on other Warframes, especially the slow Warframes, and how this particular setup can actually help me make slow Warframes run as fast as Volts and still be able to use Okina to do a lot more damage than what only Volt is capable of right now currently with this builds. Anyways, see ya. I'm done for this video.